All right, folks, this is a big one, so I really want you directing your attention here. This is a big one for the night. We now reach a very, very special part of tonight's ceremony. Each year, the judges recognise a person for their distinguished service to Australian events over an extended period of time. To introduce this year's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient, please welcome to the stage a man who has known our recipient for a very long time indeed, Mr. Neil Fergus.
Thank you. This is a particular honour and privilege. I wasn't the first choice. The legendary Sandy Holway was intent on delivering this award, and unfortunately Sandy has a bad back. So sends his apologies, but he also asked me to make sure I convey to the recipient the respect that he holds him in. The person I'm about to bestow this award on behalf of the Australian Event Awards is someone who probably needs no introduction, but nonetheless, going back into the 90s, he was an advisor to two Prime Ministers, Bob Hawke and Paul Keating. Paul Keating, absolutely known for his love of the arts, but not necessarily for sport. And I don't think there's any doubt that this person had something of an influence on Paul Keating embracing the notion of going for a Sydney Olympic Games, which he did. And this person then became an inaugural member of the SOCOG board, 93 to 95. But not content with that, he had a particular passion for some areas, including Indigenous affairs, environment, sustainability. So he moved from the board to an executive position within SOCOG, the organising committee. Thank goodness he did, because it's perhaps not known that widely. The first properly green Olympic Games in history was the Sydney 2000 Games, much because of the efforts of this gentleman. He then went on to work with the International Olympic Committee on evaluation commissions for Athens, Beijing, London, Sochi, Rio. He worked on the environmental plan for the Rio 2016 bid. So much so that he was actually awarded an AM for services to environmental protection, First Nations affairs and the Olympic movement. Apart from writing a couple of books in his spare time, the other thing he did was he became a founding member of the group that set up the Garma Festival in Nhulunbuy, Yolngu land up in the Northern Territory. He and Mundawoy and Alan James had this brainchild about the leading Indigenous festival that we could have created, and therefore from 2002 to 2012 he was a key advisor, strategist on the development of the Garma Festival. But he still had spare time apparently. So he was been the chairman of the Australian Himalayan Foundation from 2002 to 2023. Currently, he claims he's stepping down shortly, but we'll see. And of course, that foundation has injected millions of dollars into much needed health, education and women's programs in the Himalaya, Nepal, Northern India and Bhutan. So without further ado, it really is a great honour and privilege to call my mate up here, the Honourable Simon Balderstone, to receive this award. I didn't even mention your broken back.
Thanks, Neil. Jeez, it's heavy. I've been involved in these awards for a long time. I always thought this was a good idea, this particular award. But sincerely, seriously, thanks. It's a huge honour, and I'm chuffed. A couple of things out of all that I'm most proud of, I guess, getting the Olympic movement and other events to consider environment and sustainability and legacy seriously. And on that note, these event awards have also done that as one of the criteria, one of the elements that everybody is judged on, and that's been a thing that I've noticed over the years has really increased in excellence, in quality, in all events. The other one is Garma Festival, which I'm really proud. Haven't been involved for a decade or so now, but what it became. And I mentioned these event awards having a great influence on the industry, and two people who haven't been mentioned much, one who hasn't been mentioned at all tonight, as a huge vote of thanks from everybody to Ian and Charlene. This is just really very important for the industry. And looking around this room, there are so many people who've done so much for it that I'm quite humbled. And it's a very big honour to receive this award, so thank you.